Well, good evening. This is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening. And really, I have to say hats off to all of the truckers who are up in Ottawa protesting in the Freedom Convoy. And we have just been through, in certainly this part of Canada, a real good long cold snap. It has been down to minus 25s, minus 30, and I don't know if you don't live in Canada, boy oh boy, you have no idea what it is like being out of doors in minus 30 degrees with the wind blowing and whipping that snow around. It's a shock to the system, let me tell you. So for them to be able to stay there this long and hold out is absolutely incredible. And thanks also to all of the support, for all of the people who've gone up there, the well-wishers, the people on the ground, doing the live streaming so you can actually see what is really happening is just incredible. But let's just turn to Ontario, because Doug Ford has done the most incredible 180. I've never seen anything happen so fast in all my life. And of course, many of the premiers. We now have BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, New Brunswick, and Ontario have all turned back the mandates, the vax passport, everything. There's a couple of reasons for this. There was blockades, there's no doubt about it, and I think Doug Ford was finally read the Riot Act by some of the larger manufacturers, especially the auto manufacturers, who depend heavily on a free flow of traffic across that border. And I think that Doug Ford got read the Riot Act, because when you see this clip, of Doug Ford, it is unbelievable. When you look at the body language, like he's slumped. Okay, he is so done with what has been going on for the last couple of years. But another thing that happened, which I think really turned the tide, is that Trudeau, you see, because he's a young person, really doesn't have the experience, doesn't understand the way words work and how they can be received at times. So what had happened is the people were putting pressure on the federal government about the mandates and the lockdowns. And the Liberal Party's position, the federal Liberal Party position, including Trudeau, was that, that was a provincial decision. Well, what did that signal? That signaled to every premier, I'm going to throw you under the bus. I'm going to blame you for the damage that has taken place. And so all of a sudden, we see this amazing reversal of position. And it tells you a couple of things. Firstly, it tells you that this was all political. There never was a real pandemic. It was all a political decision, because if this was really a big deal, they wouldn't have turned and run. They wouldn't have allowed public pressure to sway their decision. And of course, we would see some real evidence on the ground, like maybe some bodies. It's a pandemic. When everyone thinks of a pandemic, I know everyone is the same as I am. I don't need to even question this. But, you assume that there's going to be trucks hauling off the bodies. It's going to be so bad. And that's how they depict it in the movies. All these movies like Outbreak, and they're dropping like flies. You can see. We never saw that. Okay, so the Prime Minister has thrown the premiers under the bus. And now, because of this one little clip that Doug Ford has actually, it's cut out of it's about a 20-minute presentation that he does, but it's in answer to one of the questions. And he says, we're done with COVID. He says, you can take 1 inoculation or 10 inoculations. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get COVID. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And there you go. With that statement, he just threw every doctor, every nurse that was pushing this, every health department right under the bus. Right under the bus. Because they were forcing you to take an experimental trial, still on trial inoculation, okay, and they knew it didn't work. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because, you know, as I said before, I think that the doctors in the health department, and I still think that Doug Ford will resign very early in March to allow for a leadership campaign, but he looked done. He looked absolutely done, and I think he's realizing that they are going to throw him under the bus and all the premiers, and there will be questions. Why were you pushing a vaccine that didn't have all of the information, where it was impossible for people to make an informed consent? Whoa. We're getting into Nuremberg here, okay? And a lot of people don't realize this about the Nuremberg trials. You know, people talk about, oh yeah, the Nuremberg trials, and everyone's heard of them and so on and so forth. But I was in England. Okay, I was born in 1953. The Nuremberg trials were still going on. I think they ended somewhere around about my 9th birthday, 1961, 62, because everybody was prosecuted. They did them in batches, especially when it came down to enlisted men, guards, hospital orderlies, didn't matter. Colonels, generals, majors, captains, sergeants, didn't matter. Everyone who was in the Nazi party and had gone above and beyond to persecute and vilify people, they all were tried. It took about 12 years in total to get it all done. And that is what's going to happen here. It will take a long time, but there will be prosecutions. You trust me. And the more these premiers turn like this on a dime, they're telling you, it was meaningless. It was meaningless. There was no real threat to the population at all. It was a political decision. And they made a huge error of judgment.
Businesses are kind of caught in a weird dilemma, because you've given them the ability to continue on with the proof of vaccination certificates if they choose to. So for a business owner, if they remove the proof of vaccination, they may lose business because people might feel unsure, uncertain about, you know, dining in a restaurant with unvaccinated people. However, though, they may also face targeted harassment if they keep up with the proof of vaccination. What's your suggestion for what a business owner in that situation should do?
I think the market's going to dictate. You know, you can go to Costco, you can go to Walmart, you can go shopping. You know, you don't know if the person has a shot beside you or not, but we also know that it doesn't matter if you have 1 shot or 10 shots, you can catch COVID. See, the Prime Minister has triple shots, and I know hundreds of people with 3 shots that caught COVID. We just have to be careful. We've got to always make sure we wash our hands and move forward. But, Colin, we can't stay in this position forever. We got to learn to live with this and get on with our lives. I bet if I asked every single person in this room, do you want these damn masks or do you want them off? They want them off. They want to get back to normal. They want to be able to go for dinner with their families. And there's every single person, including myself, knows people that are unvaccinated. You know, sure, there's the rebel rousers, and then there's just hardworking people that just don't believe in it. And that's their choice. This is about, again, a democracy and freedoms and liberties. And I hate, as a government, telling anyone what to do. We just got to get moving forward and get out of this and protect the jobs. You know, I think a lot of people, Colin, probably yourself too, everyone's done with this. Like, we are done with it.
And of course we have to remember, and I'm going to be very blunt here, I am not going to mince my words. Okay, we've had 700 days where 35 million Canadians have been affected negatively. And of those 35 million Canadians where the inoculations came on, there was a concerted effort to genocide, and that is the word I will use, genocide, 25% of the population, about 12 or 13 million Canadians, by not allowing them to have access to essential services like food, shopping, doctors, hospitals. Unbelievable. This is so over the top. This is so over the top. The fact that they were going to do, and the people who went along with this watched it happen. Hey, and I just shake my head at the horrors that might have unfolded. Like I say, this is what happened in the Nazification of Germany. These people were made non-people, and then their goods and possessions were confiscated. So, hopefully, the contradictions taking place between the provinces and the federal government, I'm hoping, are becoming so glaring that the federal government will topple. Anyway, we will see on that one. Okay, so, take that for what you will, but I think that Ford is under extreme pressure. Look at his body language. Look at his body language. It is just unbelievable. Anyway, we will see, whether my predictions come true in the coming weeks. And in the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening. And we'll talk very, very shortly. You take care now. See ya. Bye.